everyone, this is HTS here, back with some more StarCraft 2 Heart of the Swarm action. This time it is going to be between Whitera down in the bottom right side, one of the players I've been casting the most in all of StarCraft 2 recently, and in the top left side, another player I've also been casting quite a bit recently. It is going to be MorroW. So it is going to be a TVP. I've gotten a lot of requests lately for some TVP in Heart of the Swarm, just because, I mean, you're getting Widow Mines, you're getting the new Mothership Core changes, and people are just kind of wondering how exactly that's going to shape up in this game. Now, again, a lot of people have still been commenting, Husky, you always just cast Whitera games. What's up with that? I'm going to be honest, not many players are still playing Heart of the Swarm, as they are focused on Wings of Liberty, focused on those major tournaments, focused on trying to win as much money as possible. Imagine that. Wanting to be successful in StarCraft, so they're playing the game where all the money is at. So, still not that many players actually playing the game. I was thinking of hopping on and playing some games myself, just to try and better understand all of the units, all the changes, and how exactly they play a role in StarCraft 2 now. So, anyways, still doing my best to gather up as many replays as I can, but there is definitely a replay drought when it comes to Heart of the Swarm. So, anyways, MorroW has been playing quite a lot. I still think he is the player who has played the most Heart of the Swarm, which is kind of interesting because these are two players who you haven't really seen have major tournament success in the last year or so, but they are basically the best players in Heart of the Swarm right now. Why is that? Well, they're the only ones who are practicing enough to know how to effectively use the new units. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. The probe going to be harassing this SCV a little bit. Don't think it's going to be able to kill it off right there, although maybe. No, don't think so. That SCV should be able to survive, as probes, I gotta say, they are so stupid when it comes to attacking SCVs that are constructing buildings. They always try to attack the building itself, which is just kind of silly. Obviously, that probe's only going to have one mission. That's going to be to scout and to kill things, if he can, which I guess is 2 missions. But whatever. Whitera does have a Cyber Core on the way. And I gotta say, I don't know if I'm biased just because I'm Protoss, but I love the fact that Protoss can use Mothership Core openers now, just because they are fun. I mean, it lets you do a little bit of damage in the early game, which is something that Protoss has almost never had in StarCraft 2. Now, we do see MorroW going to be going for an expand after barracks, but it's not an expand first build, but it's an expand about as quickly as you can, while still safely getting out the amount of Marines you're going to need to hold off some sort of Mothership Core. Now, we do see it, the SCV scouting it. We could see a Chrono Boost as well to get that Mothership Core out much more quickly, and we do. So the SCV knows exactly what's up. Keep in mind, when the Mothership Core is building, it puts a giant beam out through the top. This is something that does not happen when probes build. You'll see it once it's done. There it goes right there, and then the beam kind of goes away. It's a lot shorter right here once those probes begin to build. So he knows exactly what's on the way. He knows the Mothership Core is going to be out, and we'll see if Whitera decides to put on some early pressure with this. I think that he will. May have to use the Mothership Core to deny this, but honestly, I think what MorroW's doing here is throwing this engineering bay down just to either, I mean, he's either going to be denying an expansion or denying the Mothership Core harass. It looks like this time it is going to be denying the expansion because he skipped Zealot to get out the Mothership Core here. So mission accomplished there, I feel like, for MorroW, as long as he ends up canceling this before it gets destroyed by those probes, which I'm sure he will. But we do have a bunker on the way. Was that killed by a probe? What happened here? Looks like someone lost their life to a scouting worker or something. But the bunker is now going to be up, so that Mothership Core not going to be able to do that much, at least at this location. So Whitera's got to be careful, because the range on this is only a range of 5. The Marines are going to be able to easily outrange that inside the bunker, easily able to shoot that down, and he could begin harassing some of these buildings. And I mean, like right now, you see the game getting underway at the 5-minute mark, as opposed to much later, like we are used to seeing here. And he can begin harassing, delaying buildings, things like that, and the Mothership Core should be able to eventually escape. But either way, it doesn't have that much HP, only 250, considering you're paying 100 minerals and 100 gas. However, it takes no supply, so you know, you can rebuild it right away if you need to. But we do have Energize, Purify, Mass Recall, all things that can be used now that it has enough energy here. Whitera''s expansion going to be up and running here. This is going to be quite a bit behind MorroW's, though, as MorroW did go for the much more greedy expansion timing. And MorroW, you can see, this is going to be super frustrating to deal with here. And the Mothership Core does shoot very quickly, and a Stalker somehow made it all the way back here. So Whitera putting the umph in Protoss rushing. Can he keep the Stalker alive? That's going to be the important unit here, because the Mothership Core can easily fly away. Will be able to kill off a couple of these Marines. I can't believe the Stalker actually got up here. The SCV should be able to clean this off, though, as it only has 3 HP, and down it goes. But the Mothership Core got to be doing lots of damage. Another Marine on the way, showing us that Terran can no longer just sit back and idly not not make any attacking units as they need to defend versus something like this. So Whitera is going to put himself in quite the comfortable spot. This is kind of what we saw Warhounds doing in the early stages of the beta, is that the Warhound would put Protoss behind. Now Protoss has a new tool to be able to do that, definitely able to pay for itself with that. Workers killed 3, units killed overall 8-2. But that does show you, I mean, taking a look at the units lost here, that does show you that you have to be very careful with this Mothership Core, because if he loses this Mothership Core, it's going to add 200 and actually put him behind right there, especially at a time when he has max energy on this Mothership Core. He wants to make it home safely if he can. Will he be able to kill off more SCVs? Looks like yes, does manage to get 2 more. Does not want to lose his Mothership Core, though. It's very low on HP, even lower on shields now. But if he loses this, he loses all the energy with it, and MorroW comes out ahead. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Whitera send this back on home right now, as, you know, it's basically done all of the damage that it can, and there's not a whole lot more left to do. Now, he could save it up here for some mass recalling action if he decides to do that, but right now it looks like, nope, he's going to go ahead and decide to take a 3rd base. I don't know if it's a good idea for him to put on too much pressure. One thing he could do is kill these rocks, and then once they collapse, kill them again, so that this location down here cannot be safely blocked off. Might be a good choice since he has the idle stalkers here anyways. The more damage he can do to that, the better. But it looks like he may be gearing out for some sort of an attack. Not quite sure exactly what MorroW has planned in response. We have a Forge on the way for Whitera. Observer is going to be on the way now. Could use a War Prism if he wanted to. Don't know if we're going to see that, though, because we only see 3 barracks right now. But he could try to harass with the sentries, force fields, things like that. And no, the Mothership Core is back up here, and she is pissed. Got to be doing lots of damage to the SCV line here, although it looks like he can almost repair through that damage, and he might lose the Mothership Core if he's not covered. He's got to mass recall that unit by itself back home. At the same time, he is going to be taking out the bunker. Does manage to get it because there's only 1 Marine inside at the cost of a Stalker. That battle is going to even out a little bit. Whitera's got to be careful, and I kind of like the idea. If you got a light contain going, might as well kill off these rocks here. That's something that I've just kind of thought about while watching this, is that, you know, everything you can do to make your opponent more vulnerable is definitely going to be worth it, especially since, you know, they could plop siege tanks back here. Siege tanks on the high ground could be difficult to crack. But either way, it looks like MorroW is going to go ahead and secure his own 3rd base. Both these players actually going for a 3rd base. So you can see right there, MorroW going to take down the rocks just to go ahead and protect this location from now from any sort of timing attack, because it basically means that there's only 1 choke point that the Protoss player will be able to attack undetected, and that's just going to be right up this ramp. And we do have Widow Mines now out. It looks like Whitera got to go for it. He needs to be careful, though. If these rocks get blasted, it will do damage to his units. Doesn't look like that will be the case. The siege tank, though, very well could get taken down. Keep in mind that MorroW loves to go for mech, and that's what we've seen him do. Lots of Widow Mines there, taking out 2 Stalkers. I never know if those things pay for themselves or not, but either way, able to do those Stalker kills, and should be able to clean out the rest of this. Only has a couple of Hellions remaining, though. Force fields go down. The Mothership Core is back. Might have to mass recall, though, to get out of there. Does almost have full energy once again. Does look like the Orbital Command going to be under fire here. It does look like the Stalker is able to do quite a bit of damage because there's only a couple of Marines, only a couple of Hellions here. This is going to be putting Whitera further and further ahead, especially since his own 3rd base is now up and running. There are 4 probes, though, on strike down there who definitely need to get back to work. We'll be able to clean up these units easy for breezy. The Siege Tank, though, has to be very, very careful because, yes, he does a lot of damage output and extra damage versus armored, but at the same time, with the Immortal here, can almost one-shot it with the amount of units he has now. The Siege Tanks, though, should be able to hold their own for quite some time. The Immortal could get surrounded. It is running all the way up the ramp, but not before killing off one of the siege tanks there. Does die, so that's going to end up being worth it, and you can see the amount of damage being dealt. 48 units killed to 20, and 29 workers killed to 0. 0 workers killed by MorroW right now. Let's take a look at the worker count, 43 to 61, obviously putting him way, way behind, and this is showing you how frustrating anti-air is if you are going mech, because the Mothership Core just sitting above all these units, dealing lots of damage, up to 13 kills. Now the Stalker's got to be doing some more kills here. I don't know how MorroW can actually hang on, as he's getting way behind in the macro, way behind in tech, way behind in supply, and just in every way possible. Might even end up losing this tank. If not, we'll be forced to repair it even more. But you can just see the DPS on this mothership is pretty darn high. Zelt's going to be running up here, but they're just going to get taken out right away, I feel like. But not before splash damage from the tanks. Going to be softening the rest of the army. The tank finally goes down. The Mothership Core will get taken out before it can mass recall, and it does look like the Orbital Command will barely survive. MorroW does need to repair that, though. because it is going to be burning down inside of the red right now. There we go. So he's going to go ahead and save that. Lots of mules going to be dropped down, and is going to stabilize here just a little bit. And let's take a look at the income tab here. You can see managing to keep up with Whiteraw's 3 base just on those mules alone. So he's going to be in pretty good shape. Now you got to remember that MorroW loves going mech, which has very severe strengths and very severe weaknesses. Your positioning is going to be good. Your counterattack potential is good because of the Hellions. Your battle Hellions can do lots of damage. Oh, this Colossus accidentally getting left over here because of a bad rally point. That was the rally point for the Observer here, and it might actually get killed off here. No, Whitera does manage to detect here. Unfortunately for MorroW, though, didn't realize it was completely undefended all by itself. We'll be able to hang on to that Colossus. I think all of our Protoss brethren have been in that position. Does get a nice split here. Will finally kill off his very first worker, so congrats to him. But can he do the damage he needs to? He does a lot of Hellions behind the mineral line. 2 remain, which is still enough to be one-shotting these probes. He's lining them up, doing quite a bit of damage here, evening the score substantially. You can see cutting in about halfway to the worker's kill tab there. Very, very nice for him because he was way, way behind there for a moment. That's going to even up the worker count substantially, 58 to 61. Still 3 SCVs at a time, followed up by 3 probes of Whitera. We do have a 4th base on the way for Whitera right now. So he is apparently not wanting to just end this game right away, giving MorroW a bit of a chance. And honestly, I don't think Whitera could even kill MorroW right now because his siege tank count, while it is at only 2 or 3 right now, he can place them in such a location that it's very difficult for the Colossus to get to where they need to begin attacking those siege tank placements. So right now, MorroW also going to be going for a 4th base here. So the timings have been almost identical here. It's just Whitera has managed to do so much damage with that attack, but at the same time, MorroW is returning the favor. So the game has stabilized for MorroW right now. Yes, he's a little bit behind in supply, but at the same time, his upgrades are looking good. He's working on +2 mech and +1 armor for the mech, while he is just going to be going up against, I believe, the 2 attack, unless he managed to squeeze an armor upgrade in there, which he did. 1-1 done for Whitera, so he should have relatively even upgrades. But the problem is that late game Protoss is just way, way, way too good, man. I mean, you're going to have Zealot Legs, you're going to have Thermal Lance, you're going to have full upgrades, you're going to have Colossus, Psystorm, potential for apparently a fleet beacon here. He could be using Tempest here. Now we're going to be having a Void Ray Mothership Core Harass. Not quite sure exactly if that's going to be useful or not. The Hellions right there trying to find an undefended base are not going to be so lucky, especially when they run to that right side. He does decide to commit those. There is an opening right here, and he wants to kill at least 3 probes with this to pay for itself. He's going to want to kill 6. But I don't know if he's going to be able to get that many, although he is doing some pretty good micro here to keep them alive as long as possible. And he goes for 1 more probe kill, might get another, and nope, that's going to be it. That's all she wrote. Oh my god, this Hellion is still alive. Does finally get taken out there. The Mothership finding a spot to harass this mineral line. There is no anti-air here. How many kills is it up to? It is up to 3 kills now. Keep in mind that this is the new Mothership Core. Up to 5 kills. Where are the Vikings going? I feel like they got the wrong coordinates, man. There they go. Finally going to be chasing down this Mothership Core, and if he waits to attack it, could prevent it from mass recalling, and does manage to kill it off quickly enough. As that one explodes. You gotta remember, Mothership Cores are not a free unit, man. They do take 100 minerals and 100 gas. That is quite a lot. I do like the Widow Mines, though, by MorroW. Helps soften up that initial Zealot push to try and deal with these siege tank lines. So very, very nice play by him, but he's got to play it very timid, very passive, and make sure that his positioning is very, very good, which is going to be tough versus the Stalkers, especially now that they have Blink, or at least they will here relatively soon. That tank gets taken out. Is able to do a little bit of preliminary damage. But either way, MorroW now beginning to drop all of his mules at his 4th base, which is a great choice because 4th bases tend to be a lot harder to defend than, say, your main base or natural. So that is going to be a smart choice. Takes out the pylon here. That means no more reinforcements, which means Whitera is going to be forced to back out here. He is ahead in supply, but at the same time has got to be very, very careful because the Viking count's got to be high. That's why he's starting to mix in some Void Rays to absorb some of that damage to protect those Colossus as long as possible. I believe that Vikings will auto-attack the Void Rays before the Colossus, so having them there, even if they don't do that much damage, it still ends up being worth it. We do have 4 kills on both these Hellions, so 8 kills in all, plus he's killing off more and more probes. He's doing everything he can to stay in this game. He's actually killed more workers now than Whitera has. You can see just how good Hellion Harass is versus Protoss, because it's very difficult to get the army in position in time, because even if you do a warp in to defend that location, the Hellions can still one-shot your workers, so what good is that going to be? It does look like the Hellion's finally going to get cleaned up here. But the medevac skedaddles on out. No, this Hellion's still alive, still harassing. 8 kills right now, and in a pretty good spot to get even more. 10 kills now. The +2 got to be helping out, but at the same time, it's still going to, I believe, be the same amount of shots here to kill off workers. Going for the ones in the gas, and there he does get it. So this Hellian's still alive. I would say so far this is the hero unit of the game, up to 17 kills, and we'll just keep an eye on him, see if he manages to get any more kills at this point of the game. But it does look like some of these units are going to get cleaned up here, and for right now, MorroW is ahead in supply, but he can't really use his Vikings. Looks like that Hellion finally got taken out, but he's definitely the MVP so far. Siege tanks on the high ground, going to be lots of damage on these Colossus. The Vikings going to clean that out, and this is exactly what I'm talking about, is Whitera needs a way to deal with these Vikings, whether it's Archons, whether it's Storm. Doesn't really matter, but he needs to figure it out and figure it out fast, because he is losing Colossus left and right. And with the mothership, not a core, but a full-on mothership on the way, he's gonna need to protect that very, very valuable unit. So we'll see if he manages to do just that, but the Zealot's gonna be running up here right now. The Stalker count pretty low, the Colossus count even lower, down to a single Colossus right there. That was not a favorable engagement at all for Whitera. Actually, that was a complete disaster. And as I was mentioning, very, very heavy advantages of going mech. If you get good upgrades and good positioning, then you're in a great spot, but it's the moving out and sealing the deal that's going to be tough, which is exactly what MorroW is going to attempt to do right now. No more counterattacks, at least from that pylon. There's going to be another pylon up on the left side, still one up at the north. Could warp in charge loss to begin running into those expansions. Right now, it looks like it is going to be Stalkers, though. And the problem is that MorroW, it's like, yes, he was able to get a supply lead. Yes, he was able to get way ahead, but mech is still not that great versus air units. And now that we have a fleet beacon, who knows what's going to be coming out of that Stargate. It could be Tempest, could be carriers. And, of course, there's a couple upgrades at the fleet beacon as well, making those carriers even better. But now mixing in Ghosts, I do love this. It's something that we've seen MorroW start to do more, where it's pure mech, but just mixing in Ghosts here and there for the EMP, and that's really their only purpose. And there's the mothership. Could use a scan right now. Are there enough siege tanks here? They do have 3 attack, 2 armor. He is behind the 3-3, though, of Whitera. There's the blink forward, trying to snipe the Ghosts. Notice how important it is that he kills those Ghosts. We do have a minor counterattack over here, although these Stalkers doing surprising amounts of damage. 5 kills, 4 kills, and 3 kills. So that's going to be denying the expansion very, very heavily. And this is another weakness of mech, is that you have to leave siege tanks at every part of your base. And the second you move out, Protoss is going to punish you. The workers killed, though, almost identical here. So this is a relatively close game. Whitera ended up losing a lot more, but at the same time is able to retain his bases easier, at least for now. There's a scan, though. Enough Hellions actually chase down these units, and it would be very, very awesome for him if he can kill these off. He needs to be careful of a Vortex, though, because he knows there is enough energy now for a Vortex. And if that goes down, the splash damage of the Colossus could clean those out quite easily. So we are just going to have to wait and see. The Stalkers right now going to attempt to do some damage. I love this pylon placement here. Can warp in on the low ground and does decide to blink down here. Not sure if this was a great idea, though, because the Hellions here, while they don't do that much damage, there's a lot of tanks, so it doesn't actually manage. Plus, they did absorb a lot of that damage here. So he is going to be in an okay spot right now and is way ahead in supply. Now, the problem is how do you actually end the game? How do you kill a Protoss player right now? It's got to be tough because, again, the anti-air situation has got to be remedied. There's really no anti-air solution for a meching Terran. I mean, yes, you can get Vikings, I know, but versus late game Protoss, they can deal with those Vikings quite easily. He is, however, working on ship weapons level 1, gonna continue to harass right here, doing lots of damage to the economy of Whitera, and he himself is expanding, so he's clawing his way into this game, and the reason I say it like that is because mech is honestly so difficult to pull off. I've seen him play versus so many Protoss, and had a hell of a time in dealing with it. But you got to remember that at the early stage of this game, we thought MorroW was out. Now we're kind of thinking that maybe Whitera's going to be out because he's down by about 70 supply, and with 2 planetaries on the way on the left side. Good luck ever breaking that, especially with so many Vikings on the field. 9 kills on this Hellion here, should eventually get cleaned up, and there is a counterattack on this left side. Does find the mules dropping down right away. Siege tanks almost in range to defend them, but it does look like just enough to 3-shot these mules, and the siege tanks may not be in time. Nope, they're not. Both those Stalkers are going to survive, and they will be able to retreat on out of there. Now, we do see that Whitera trying to expand again up at this location. I mean, he didn't lose the Nexus, but he lost all the workers. He's going to be sending those over there. And here's the High Templar. I think this is something that we've all been waiting for. They do not have Psystorm, but they very well could easily be turned into Archons, which are a great unit for splash damage on Vikings. which Protoss doesn't have the best anti-air either. Oh my god, the SCV massacre. If you're wondering why he's doing this, it's simply to free up supply. He has so many bases now, so many mules, that he does not need that many right now. And what he really needs is a maxed out army. I am kind of surprised to see no Thors here, because Thors are going to be very, very good versus the Archon, because you got to remember that Thors, they do a lot of upfront damage. That's damage that's wasted on things like Zerglings, almost even wasted on Zealots. So getting it for the Archon, though, is going to be well worth it. But at the same time, you got to watch out for the Tempest, because it does additional damage versus Massive, which is one of their recent changes. So I think it does like 50 damage versus Massive. They wanted to try and give it a good roll, a valid roll. I don't think Planetaries count as Massive, although they probably should. But either way, the Mothership Core just chilling out here, going to be doing a little bit of damage. EMP on the Mothership, no more energy. All of a sudden, the Vikings out of nowhere are going to be doing lots of damage, and down it goes. A huge, huge loss for Whitera. Not quite sure why he got so ballsy with that unit, because now his army is very vulnerable. There's lots of EMPs that can easily knock out the shields of these ghosts. And I think MorroW, he is ready to go. He's maxed out. He's got good upgrades. By the time he gets there, his 3 armor is going to be done. There is another Mothership Core on the way for Whitera. Keep in mind that they can be chrono boosted out almost immediately, but once they begin morphing as a Mothership Core, they cannot chrono boost like you used to be able to. So it's kind of a catch-22, I suppose, where now Whitera going to be working on the Tempest. He does have 1 attack and 1 shield, surprisingly enough, although the shield upgrade is going to be for those Archons, of course. I think MorroW may have missed his chance, though, to get a nice killing blow, because at this point, if he's not adding on lots of tech structures, lots of production facilities, he's going to be in a world of hurt. But he does have 5 Stargates, all with reactors. He can make 10 Vikings at once. Are you serious? Or he could do a major tech switch. That would actually be pretty dope. If he tech switched to Marine or Marauder with 10 medevacs, that would be sick. I would love to see him throw down like 8 barracks right here and then just do it. Just try it after he loses this army, because he most likely will now that Whitera is maxed out. A mech army. The prospects do not look very good, although he did decide to use Battle Hellion form, which is very good. EMPs go down, but so do the Ghosts. Not sure if the damage was enough. We're going to see if Whitera can break on through. The Hellions getting roasted away, but they're also absorbing a lot of the damage. Vikings going to town on the Colossus, and a huge supply lead for MorroW. I don't know if he's going to be able to kill off all these units. He does decide to land. That might have been a huge mistake for him, unfortunately. Yes, it was, which is going to even up the score by quite a bit. But, I mean, this just shows you how bad siege tanks are in PvT. I mean, let's be honest. Every unit Protoss has is basically made to counter the tank. You can blink on top of the tanks. You can charge into the tanks, and you can use the Immortal, which just doesn't take any damage, and it does additional damage. So, really, I mean, Blizzard has all but killed the siege tank. I would even say they've killed the siege tank in the TvP matchup, but I gotta hand it to MorroW, man. He tries to make it work, is making 5 Vikings at a time. Kind of sad not to see 10 at a time, but hey, what can you do? And we do see the ship weapons level 2 on the way. Personal cloaking, that's going to be for the Ghosts. That is not the Banshee Cloak. The reason this is important is because you can sneak in those Ghosts and start EMPing High Templar before they ever know what hit them. Siege tanks on the high ground, though, do get quite a few volleys off, and it does look like right now MorroW going to be able to hold off this minor attack, and there is going to be a counterattack up on the top right side. Runs right past the cannon. The probes not really getting lined up, but still able to do a little bit of damage here with these, and the more economic damage you can do, the less easily Whitera can, warp in 20 units at a time. I mean, I know it's common sense, but you got to remember that most other races have to kind of wait for either larva or wait for the production queue, but not Whitera, not Protoss. If you have enough gateways, you can just warp in an immediate army, although honestly, he doesn't have that many warp gates. Would have loved to have a building tab, but right now he doesn't have that much, which is why it's taking him so long to get remaxed out. I think it would be very wise for Whitera to add on more gateways right now, and MorroW has his production looking. He does have it laid out very nicely, and he does have 3 reactors, so that's going to be quite a few Hellions, 6 at a time. Which is actually what we see right now. We also have a nuke on the way, which is something, again, that we've seen MorroW try and do in desperation moves to basically kill their army with a giant nuke, and that feels good, man. I don't know if we're actually going to be seeing that or not, although Whitera has been susceptible to nukes in the past. And it does look like Battle Hellion form has been activated. SCVs are brought off the line, and the siege tanks gonna try and chase as best they can here, but Blink, a pretty good unit. Yes, I did say that correctly, as the Blink is going to allow him to save those, and another attack up at the north, and could even be going for the expansion here, bombarding with the Tempest. A very nice play there, trying to take out some of these structures. Could go for the sensor tower. Whitera may have overextended himself, though, as he is going to get sandwiched here if he does not back out in time, which he does indeed get out of there, but you can still see that MorroW is ahead in supply. That poor Viking trying to take on the Mama ship. Oh, it does manage to survive right there, and now it's going to die. but at least the Mothership able to get a gratifying kill there. Still only one attack, now 2 armor, or 2 shields, excuse me, with 3 shields on the way and air weapons level 2. As his other upgrades, I think, are looking pretty stellar, if I remember correctly. Yep, 3-3 on that front, plus he's going to have the 3 shields on the way, and even with Ghost on the field, it's not like they can EMP every single unit in a death ball, especially if you only have 1 or 2 EMPs coming out before they die. So right now, I think this is a smart choice by Whitera, just buying all of his time, getting his good upgrades, working on higher tier units. I mean, the more Tempest you can get, the better, because it's just a unit that is easily retained. While it may not do a lot of upfront damage, it may not do great in a straight-on battle, it is still free damage if you keep them alive, and that means that if you can retreat with them, then you're going to be in pretty good shape. As we do see, a 3rd Tempest is on the way, and while they do have 2 armor, 450 total HP for what you're paying can be on the lower end. It does look like, though, the blink forward could go straight for the tanks. You can see just how worthless these tanks are. It's actually kind of depressing, and I don't even play Terran, but tanks get taken out. Planetary is going to get taken out here as well. Whitera showing us, oh, but the flank attack going to take out all the Tempest here, and this is so many units for MorroW. I didn't realize he had this much stuff. He is still way, way ahead in supply. So before all the Terran players get depressed, just take a look at this battle. With 3-3 already done, he's going to be able to do massive, massive damage, and could be working on more production for his Vikings. Remember, when Vikings land, it still counts as air attack as opposed to the ground attack. So that's something he is going to have to watch out for, is if he falls behind in upgrades in that regard, then all of a sudden these Vikings unable to really hold their own. Now, you got to remember that Vikings are good versus Zealots, but Battle Hellions are much, much better. You can see a normal Hellion does have 90 HP. And if we take a look at the Battle Hellion right here, they do have 135. No armor, though, on the Battle Hellion, interestingly enough, as we do have the SCVs. Got to be transferring on through to, this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th base? Something like that. This game's been going on for 36 minutes. The map could actually get mined out, as every expansion now has been claimed by either red or blue. The north or the south, I guess it's east or west at this point, cleaning out a couple more Hellions, although honestly both these players have the income, they have the economy to be able to replace some of these harassment units. But you can see 47 workers to 79. MorroW probably wishing he hadn't killed off those workers just yet, because now he is going to fall behind, I believe he's going to fall behind, although mules are pretty good. Looks like some of them just died, though. But either way, with the amount of mules he's using, he is in pretty good shape. There it is right there, the mule farm. Going to be able to keep him toe-to-toe with that income, allows him to get more army supply. So I would assume he has a much bigger army supply. Yep, 142 to 105. But you do have to remember that Protoss can warp an entire army. Protoss have the hard counters to mech. And so we will see exactly how this pans out moving forward here. But we do see MorroW just kind of hanging out here, waiting for something exciting to happen. One Zealot gets taken out. But other than that, both these players have played a little bit more stagnantly. And it does look like Whitera working on getting a lot of Zealots. They do, of course, have that Zealot legs. And we do have +3 ship weapons on the way finally for MorroW, and the +2 armor. But the expansions, I mean, they just die so quickly to fully upgraded units. Siege tanks, not very good for being in a strong position versus the amount of Zealots we're seeing. There's one Storm right there, a pretty good split to dodge it, but there's really no way for him to deal with the High Templar before they manage to throw down those Storms. It's all going to come down to the dodging, but Tempests are not free, they are not cheap, and that's how he's managing to stay in the lead here. Even though Whitera has a lot of money to burn, he doesn't have that much gas. So killing off any of the gas units is going to be vital. Honestly, Zealots at this point are basically free. And the Battle Hellion's not in the best position here to protect the tanks, but the tank count is still relatively high. Keeping an eye on the supplies, they are both plummeting here. They both went from nearly maxed out to about 130 apiece, and it does look like MorroW will pull slightly ahead after that battle. No expansion down here for him to take out, but he will be able to secure that location once again. But does he have enough units now on the field? I don't know if he actually does. Taking a look at the army supply, 94 to 38. Honestly, this is just kind of showing you how bad mech can be versus Protoss. I mean, no one really looks at mech and is like, yeah, that's a really good, strong build. You should go more mech. I think mixing in Thors is going to help out. Mixing in nukes is going to help out as well. But at the same time, I mean, how do you deal with this fully upgraded Gateway army? You'll see most Terran players kind of crumble in the late game versus Protoss, just because, again, Protoss has the most tier 3 options by far in the game. There's no denying it. And mix that with Storm, Colossus, and you are pretty much good to go. So I would predict that Whitera definitely has this game, as long as he doesn't completely mess up. as long as he doesn't allow his army to be roasted away by these battle hellions, because he can warp in more units. I don't know if he's added on any more gateways just yet. I feel like he hasn't added on as much as he could. Looks like he's starting to mix in some production facilities, but even this is not that many. So unfortunately for Whitera, if he loses his army, he cannot replenish it quickly enough, because look at how much money he has. He could add on like 10 more gateways and just warp in zealots all day, which is going to be good versus, you know, trying to get the surrounds and all that. But MorroW, he has basically no anti-air. 4 Vikings right now. He does have 1 Widow Mine somewhere. But with the Ghost right here, the nuke is now done. And where's that scan at? Does he decide to go for any sort of nuke anywhere? I heard it go off. For some reason, the game doesn't tell me that there's nukes going out, but I definitely heard it. There it is right now. There's 2 nukes, actually. There's 1 right here. Where are the other nukes? Where are the other nukes? I'm actually not sure. He does have 1 Ghost over here, though, and it does land. Only kills a couple of probes. Not quite sure where the other nuke ended up. This Tempest, though, is having a lot of fun here. And we do have 1 nuke on the way. Was it 2 nukes? It said it was 2 nukes, but maybe it was only that one. The Tempest finally gonna get taken out here, it looks like, by the Vikings, unless he decides to retreat it right there. But this Ghost just gonna hang out. He did get 10 kills overall so far, so that's not bad at all. Not sure if that paid for the nuke just yet or not, but oh! The Tempest managing to escape with 13 HP. The Mothership is once again saving the day. Excuse me. We do have double sensor tower down here. Not quite sure what the point of that one was, but he's sensing like crazy. His sensor towers are tingling. He'll know anytime that a unit tries to go over there, and he can also see that these units are indeed moving around, and knows that there is something sneaky going on. Not so sneaky, though, as he is now forced to retreat. There's the scan. He's trying to find exactly where everything's at, exactly what his opponent has, and maybe potentially where he can nuke. Now, we do have a Special Tactics Warp Prism on the way, so I don't know if we're actually going to be seeing that utilized that much. Might just use it to warping units on the front battlegrounds, but we do see the High Templar getting taken out. That's a big victory here for MorroW. He's trying to get to a good angle to engage. He had it, and is going to kill off quite a few units there. Even though Whitera is still ahead in the overall supply, he is behind in the units lost. Spinning tab, though, hugely going to be favoring Whitera when it comes to his army. So a nice little play for him there. And we do have more Widow Mines on the field here. And ouch! That didn't feel good. Tempest able to take that one out. He could scan here or take out the last. Tempest manages to get the Mothership there. I thought for sure he wasn't going to be able to. So these units all of a sudden have to retreat because, you know, those Battle Hellions will go toe-to-toe with those Zealots all day long. And I think the Vikings might be fully upgraded now. Oh, they're at 3 attack, 2 armor. But regardless, these Vikings more upgrade than I'm used to saying. It does like the Battle Hellions will be able to clean up a lot of these Zealots. Keep an eye on the supply, though. Can he actually do it? Big storms thrown out. And it's hard to believe this game's been going for 44 minutes, but Zealots still very, very good versus Mech. The Ghost's going to be able to rake in a lot of DPS on those Zealots. But unfortunately, Battle Hellions, while they may have more HP, still not the greatest versus a Protoss 3 or Protoss Tier 3 Death Ball, and I think that Whitera may eventually have this here, but I gotta hand it to MorroW. He fought very valiantly. If only he had a way to dump all of his gas, he might be in a pretty good spot, but I mean, he's behind by about 60 supply at this point, even more so. So, I mean, really, what can he do? I don't think he has any nukes or anything like that. Where's the Ghost? There's the Ghost Academy. He does actually have a nuke there. I don't know if he's going to be able to use it or not, but I don't think he's going to be able to land it even if he does launch it. And honestly, using that nuke is going to be the only way to get him back in this game. The Planetary is going to be defending this location and actually manages to clean out those units, but Whitera is pushed into the heart of the city of MorroW, and it does look like he's going to do quite a bit of damage. This random Planetary down here, though, will actually be able to do quite a bit of damage before itself gets taken out. Yep, cleans up both those Zealots. Nice play there. Taking a look at the units lost, though, it has evened up substantially, and that's bad news for MorroW because he was already behind. The only thing he was ahead in was that units lost tab. But right now it is looking pretty good for Whitera, as he is about 60-50 supply ahead right now. And I can't imagine MorroW being able to do too much about this, especially with all of his production capabilities getting taken out. I mean, if you're not making a bunch of Vikings, then you are going to be in a lot of trouble. And that's exactly what is happening to poor little MorroW right now. But I got to hand to him for trying to go mech so consistently, trying to make that work. Because honestly, you know, people can sit back and give him a hard time, but if he finds a way to make it work, then more power to him, because that just means more interesting builds out of Terran instead of Marine Marauder all day long. All day, every day. But Whitera able to reinforce this just enough to continue killing out the reinforcements. Looks like the Tempest very well could go down. We do have 2 attack, 3 shields on that thing. But overall, he just doesn't have any way of dealing with these ground units. He does have more siege tanks, more Hellions on the way, but his income has just been stifled substantially Do we still have a nuke here? Yes, we do. This Ghost could try and nuke something, but with 31 SCVs and 75 workers here for Whitera, if Whitera transfers those to somewhere else, he's going to be able to mine. Although this map is, I just realized this map is actually mined out. There is the one base over here, which might be enough to put Whitera over the edge. But if MorroW does not use these units wisely, he can't mine anywhere. He's got one mineral patch here with 125 resources on it. But other than that, this map is mined out. Now, you do not see that very often, especially on a larger map with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I think it's like 12 bases overall, if I'm doing my math correctly, although you should never do math during a live event. That's just a fact. But Whitera may just sit back, get out, get as max as he can, and then wait for this money to run out. And that's actually, I think, the smart choice here, because his opponent does not have any money. MorroW's income is at 0 right there. 0 as well was as plain as day. I'm not sure if he managed, where exactly did he mine those from? I don't even know. But it's definitely going to be plummeting here relatively soon. And while he does have a lot of gas income, what can you really use that for? It might actually be a better idea to bring the SCVs to repair the tanks, defend the tanks, because at this point, MorroW has nothing left. And every second that goes by, Whitera is just going to be getting further and further ahead, because facts are facts. He's going to be mining right now. And basically, it's going to come down to one big death ball versus the siege tank line. Can MorroW get into the position that he will need to clean out some of those units? Every single unit that MorroW can kill is going to be hugely beneficial. SCV is not very good, though, versus Archons. This might be the very last battle. It looks like Whitera is going to come out ahead, but at the same time, all the Colossus are going to fall here, and the supplies have absolutely plummeted. But at the same time, a lot of that is in workers. So let's take a look at the army supply, 29 to 68. So yes, it is going to be favoring him, but the siege tank up here could do some damage. No, they're going to clean that out almost immediately. And I think these last few handfuls of units are actually going to be winning it for Whitera here, as the Vikings do get taken out. A Blink Forward should be able to clean those off. And indeed, not a whole lot left for MorroW. MorroW fighting to the very last man. There's the GG. I think he actually didn't have anything left. He has 1 Hellion and 1 Widow Mine. I don't even know where those units are at this point, but there's the Widow Mine right there, somehow not activating on these units. What is going on with this? I actually have no idea. But, wow. What an awesome game. Units lost. Look at this, 72,000 to 65,000. That is a lot. Spending is 68,000 in army, 56,000 in army for MorroW. And really all it came down to was a couple of Stalkers and a couple of Immortals just kind of hanging out over here. And if he was able to win one more engagement, he would have easily won this game. But I got to hand it to MorroW, man, trying to make mech work and showing us just how difficult meching Terrans have it lately. So we will see in the future games, I'm sure, if he can manage to pull that off. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.